Let's continue with Jujutsu Kaisen Mojura. Ready? Then let's go. After the intro. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. And yes, you heard it right, Jujutsu Kaisen has received a continuation called Jujutsu Kaisen Mojura. It will tell the story of Yuta and Maki's grandchildren, and we already have the first chapter narrated here. I'll divide it into parts because it has many pages, so before we continue, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Page 1. The chapter begins with a spaceship approaching Earth. Opening text. In this vast universe, to find oneself on the blue planet, record, upper atmosphere. Year 2086, Nevada, altitude 30,000 meters. An extraterrestrial life form who calls himself a Simurian alien appeared together with the mothership Naunax, carrying around 50,000 compatriots, requesting protection as refugees. We see a man with 3 eyes and what seem to be horns. He says, "Japan? So that's it. Wasn't America supposed to be the country with the greatest power on this planet?" Character 2 says, "That's right. However, America says all qualifications for diplomatic missions belong to Japan." Someone says, "I see, understood." Another says, "Did you discover something?" Page 2. Character says, "It seems perhaps close to us. There's a race in Japan that possess power similar to ours." What? Narration says, "Let's meet the unknown." Page 3. We see 2 people in the text. On this planet, they are known as sorcerers. Page 4. We see only the hand of an old man handing a ring to a little girl. The elder is Yuta, handing something to his granddaughter. Yuta says, "This ring, Yuka, keep it." Yuka says, "Really?" Yuta says, "You wanted it, didn't you? But this is Grandpa's." "That's right, Yuka, but you are a little too mischievous, so I worry about you. Yuka, until you become a great sorcerer, this ring will watch over you. Do your best." I'll do my best." Then we see a photo of Yuta already old. Page 5. Okotu Yuka, age 6 years old. Since the last time has passed. Yuka says, "Grandpa! Grandpa!" Yuta says, "Yuka really is Grandpa's girl, huh?" Page 6. Okotu Yuka, 10 years old. Someone says, "Ever since Grandma Maki passed away, she has been losing more and more spirit." Another says, "Guta-san, it's not just Yuka. No one ever thought Maki-san would be the first to pass away. I will become strong, just like you, Grandpa." Page 7. We see them in a dojo. A woman, probably Yuka's mother, daughter of Yuta and Maki, says, "Give the ring back." Yuka says, "Why?" Woman says, "From now on, this ring will be with your brother." "No way! I got this from Grandpa after all." Woman says, "This ring is a cursed object registered in the Gojo family's forbidden vault." Page 8. We see a boy with accompanying text. Okotsu Shinken, 11 years old. Shinken says, "I don't care. It wasn't something I decided." Yuka says, "Then give it back." Someone says, "This ring is truly meant for Shinken." We then see Yuka training. Yuka says, "I will become strong. I will make everyone acknowledge that this ring is meant for me." Page 9. The scene changes. We see a man and a boy playing video games. Someone says, "Do kids these days still play these retro games?" I guess girls don't play them that much. Kime-kun, aren't you good at it? Kime says, "No way. At my house, I can only play video games for 1 hour a day." Page 10. We see a man in a suit. Man says, "If it were normal, you wouldn't complain even if it happened to you, right?" Time seems to have passed, and we see the siblings already grown. Man in suit says, "The abduction of Japanese citizens as an energy resource is still serious. Even the smallest impurity works. Investigate the site in person and report any information to the higher-ups. Right now in Kyoto, cases of child abduction are occurring frequently. The national police couldn't handle it. It's likely that curses are involved." Someone says, "You mean 3 people?" Page 11. We then see that 3-eyed man with light hair. He introduces himself, but here a bandage covers his 3rd eye. Man says, "The investigator is Maru Varvru Yelvri. Call me Maru." Yuka says, "A foreign sorcerer? How unusual." Maru says, "Is that so?" Yuka says, "Cursed energy is unique to Japanese people. Since it comes from emotional energy, sorcerers inevitably only appear in Japan. Of course, there are exceptions, like you." Maru says, "I see, so the abduction of Japanese citizens aims at their cursed energy." Man in suit says, in human trafficking, Japanese people are highly valued and sold at high prices. Shinken says, wait a second. This guy doesn't even know that? I'm way too worried to take him on the mission. Yuka says, this isn't a major curse task, it's just an investigation, right? It's fine. We're not going against a curse user. Maru asks, curse user? Shinken says, we're saying you don't know what might happen. No need to state the obvious, at least get the nuance. Page 12. Shinken and Yuka start arguing. Maru gets lost in the conversation. Maru says, Jujutsu? Not sorcerer? Yuka says, idiot. Even so, I'm saying it's fine. If he gets in the way, just leave him behind. Maru asks, what is Jujutsu? Shinken says, in a situation where you get in the way, can you at least keep yourself safe? Think before you speak, idiot. Maru says, hey, Jujutsu, it means sorcerer. Yuka says, if you keep being noisy, I'll really leave you behind. Maru thinks, how barbaric. Man in suit says, Maru came to observe and inspect what Japanese sorcerers are like, representing the signatory countries. From where? Since the security treaty, inspections happen occasionally, as Usami-san mentioned before. Maru says, I'll see for myself who you really are. Maru thinks, humans on Earth who possess the same abilities. Page 13. Maru says, I'll say this from the start. No matter what happens, don't rely on me. I've been ordered from above not to intervene. Yuka says, then let's leave him behind. Shinken says, you've just become a nuisance. Maru says, what? Yuka and Shinken then rush off to the mission. Yuka says, acting all superior like that pisses me off. Shinken says, I'm not some kind of state guest. Then, in the next scene, we see Maru sitting with his head down. Page 14, Yuka appears. Don't cry over something like this. It makes me look like the bad guy. You don't think you did anything wrong. Delicious. So hot. So good. Crying over something like this? Takoyaki and kanzai is like this everywhere. Shopkeeper says, I can hear you. Maru says, everywhere? Yuka says, well, except Osaka. This is Kyoto, so I get it. It is revealed Yuka had taken Maru to eat kanzai-style takoyaki. Page 15. We see Yuka and Maru eating on a bench. So it's a national thing, huh? You'll pay me back later, okay? As I apologize. You mean I'll give it back? So you and Shinken are really siblings? You don't resemble each other, and you don't get along. Yuka says, it's because he took my precious treasure, but he didn't steal it, okay? Maru asks, what's that? Yuka says, Grandpa's memento ring, the one hanging around Shinken's neck, that's a valuable cursed object owned by the Gojo family, so it's supposed to be held by a sorcerer more skilled than most. Originally, it was with my parents, then suddenly my older brother was told to take it instead of me. Maru says, is Shinken really that amazing of a sorcerer? Yuka says, not really. Usami-san also said that the two of us are about equal, right? There's nothing special beyond our age. Maru says, Tsurugi's hardworking? Isn't that a good thing? Not in that sense. His effort is obvious to everyone, but he just shows off by only training his body. Page 16, Yuka says, he's just showing off to everyone. Look at me. I'm growing. I'm strong. I don't want him taking my ring. He's really the worst. He doesn't even have memories with Grandpa, and I'm trying my best too. Maru says, then let's solve this pressure together. The two of us. Huh? Actually, Yuka wants to show off how amazing she really is. Since we're investigators, if the two of us do it, it will effectively be like you completed the mission alone. No, normally, acting on your own like that is forbidden in this field. Page 17. Yuka says, I never said I wouldn't do it, though. But Maru, you won't get involved in the mission, right? As long as we don't use cursed energy, it's fine. They won't notice. Feels so laid back, like a foreigner. Yuka's, we can't just stand here. Let's head to the site quickly. I'm exhausted. I can't find anything. Yuka says, of course, someone who's not used to it won't understand a thing. Don't lie down in the middle of the street. Maru says, huh? Yuka, did you figure something out? Yuka says, Maru, which way do you want to go on this road? Right. Then next. Then left. Yuka says, then? Straight. Maru says, what are you doing? Here you go. This is what you were writing earlier, right? Maru says, you were predicting the route I chose. and you got every single one right. But is this really the time to be playing around? Yuka says, I'll explain it now, so shut up. The earlier paths, they're physically guided by line of sight and cursed. If someone is walking without a purpose or a curious child moves out of curiosity, the sorcerer can lead them exactly where they want along the path. Maru says, could it be the activation condition for the barrier technique? Yuka says a barrier that traps anyone who follows a predetermined path. Maru says, per quietly abducting children, huh? Unforgivable. But this is amazing, Yuka. With this, everyone will finally see how impressive you are. Page 20. What? Even a passerby could figure this out if they had good instincts. Maru looks curious. What? Then Shinken appears. Shinken says, hey, whoa! Where have you been slacking off again? You've noticed, right? This barrier, if you follow the path you're led along, you'll get caught. You noticed. Huh? Ah, I'll grab some tools. Wait a moment. Sorry, Yuka. No, it's not your fault. Narration says, and that's it, everyone. This was the first part. Everything indicates we'll have a new team of 3 here with the siblings Yuka and Shinken. Soon, I'll bring part 2. Stay tuned. If you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. See you next time. Thanks.